Good morning, everyone. Another day and another set of drill results from Southern Cross Gold. So we've produced 6 results here from 6 holes. All of them had gold in them, and the key result is a very high grade, 249.5 grams in a huge step out, a 270-meter step out down from the last intersection on the Rising Sun chute. This is quite a big step out, and as I say, it makes us look smart, this project. It's also 187 meters in plan view from hole 50. So it really is testing an area that never seen a drill hole ever before, a long distance away, and we're starting to see visible gold development, antimony dropping off, just as we like to see in the transition of these systems, like we saw at Fosterville when they made the Swan Zone discovery, and what is happening at Costerfield, 2 analogous epizonal deposits in Victoria. So a great result, validating the geological concept and starting to see great free gold at depth. This is a very important result. Obviously, it's testing an area that had never been drilled before, and we can see that transition, that these systems, through temperature and pressure, morph from upper levels where we see brittle structures with gold and antimony. As we get deeper, we see more brittle structures coming in, thicker quartz carbonate vein development, antimony drops off, and we start to see the uber high grades of gold start to come in, and this is just another validation of that theory. This hole steepened as it went to depth, and we believe that it didn't actually test the entire structure, so it stayed in the hanging wall. And what our next step is for hole 61 is to wedge off the hole. So what we do is physically put a wedge down the hole, somewhere around 500 or 600 meters, that deviates the drill hole, and so we can come in at a lower angle to hit the very steep structure. So that wedge will ideally transect across where we wanted to go with this hole 61. Nevertheless, obviously we hit some very high grades. The last assay finished in mineralisation, low grade gold, 0.7 grams per tonne, and we're cutting the rest of the hole, another 40 or 50 meters down to the bottom of the hole. So a lot more to do down in this area, and of course we've got a lot of holes coming to us. 9 holes are being geologically processed and analysed at the moment, and 4 holes are currently in progress with the 4 rigs, and that includes some of our deepest holes in and around hole 61, 64, which is in the same region. Exceeded 1 kilometre, so that's our first kilometre hole on the project. Of course, this was one of 6 holes that was produced from this press release. Another key result that is outlined in the press release is a hole that's almost 1 kilometre away from hole 61, and that's hole 63. It's a very different test. It's a near surface test where we drill beneath some surface trenching, and we actually were able to replicate the surface trench results in this hole. We hit 0.5 meter at 17 grams gold equivalent. That was within a broader zone of 2.7 at 4.4 grams per tonne gold equivalent, down at 26 meters. So we now have the system drilled out from that new hole 63, which sits 200 meters east of any other drilling that we've done in the Apollo area. So we've extended the zone by 200 meters. So from Apollo East right through to Christina, where we see a few historic drill holes, it's 1,350 meters of the main zone that we now have intersected gold in drill holes. And that's, of course, part of the larger 11-kilometre system where we have 1 rig drilling 7.5 kilometres away. So the footprint is getting bigger along strike, and we're also extending the system to depth. Hole 61 was the 2nd deepest intersection on the property today. Okay, what we'll do now is just look at the 3D model in a three-dimensional software package. We use Leapfrog. Of course, you can do the same on our website with the Verify software. So what we're looking at here is basically from the area called Christina right through to Apollo and Apollo East. So Christina here, Golden Dyke here, the new drilling, and what we're doing at depth with hole 61 and hole 50 at Rising Sun, and in the center of the property in the Apollo area here. This is hole 63, which is drilled 200 meters east of any prior drilling underneath some trenching that we announced, of course, in the release, and then hole 61 out through here. So that's looking in plan view. Now when we turn this 90 degrees and take off the topography, we can start to see all the drilling with the veins that form each different mineralized body. There's 20 plus of those defined already. The grey holes are those that we've released, and the purple holes are those that are still coming. You can see the surface trace up through here. You can see Christina out to the west, because we're looking to the north here. Apollo East here, which is 200 meters along strike from Apollo. And here is where you'll really start to appreciate just how important this new hole 61 specifically is. So here's 61 down through here. Here's hole 50, the half-kilometre of mineralisation from start to finish from up here down to here that defined 13 new veins. Here's the Rising Sun intersection. And if we were to take the Rising Sun intersection in hole 50 and take it down to hole 61 and just measure that, there's 340, there's 290. So we quoted 270 meters. It's variable in which part of the intersection you take it from, but you can see 270, 300 meters. It's a big step out. And then if we're just to take it on the same horizontal level where we hit that 249 grammer across to hole 50, there's 150 meters, 160, 170 meters, and I think we talked about it at the same level. If we were to do it, was 180 meters, 187 meters. So you can see there, give or take a few meters, just in the roughness of how I'm drawing this, that it is a big step out into the unknown. And what we're interpreting it as is the extension of that Rising Sun. Here we go. We'll just turn this around in 3 dimensions. And you can just see that the 2 deepest holes on the property are hole 61 and hole 50. And you can see this is hole 64, the kilometre hole that we've drilled down here. The very important parts you can't see in this model as we're looking now, we'll turn it around and look back to the north, is that the antimony grades are starting to drop off at around about the 700 meters vertically from surface around here. And we're starting to see that free gold develop, multiple free gold points through this hole, especially in that very high grade intersection. You can see it's a lot wider, and probably the reality is if we look down again and take a cross section through this part of the world here and make it a lot skinnier, and this is what we did do in the press release. If we put the dike model and take the veins off, we can start to see that here's the dike. We look the other way, which is the way that we presented it in the press release. You can start to see that big step out again, that big step out down through here. There's 400 meters, but there's some other mineralization up through here. But the big 270 meter step out, it's huge. And you can see the continuity down that dike breccia. Okay, so here we can see a cross section through the Rising Sun structure. We can see the continuity of the grade as we progress down. If we just take a depth down to that higher grade level. There we are at nearly almost 700 meters vertically. So that's just shows just how large a step out and depth that we are. Here's hole 50, and if we take that step out, there's 270 meters, the step out that we quoted in the press release. And you can start to see there's some other holes sneaking in here, like we spoke about. Here's that's hole 67, and down here is hole 64, the one that went to 1 kilometre. So you can start to see that that's filling in. Now, we think that hole 61 didn't actually progress through this whole dike breccia structure, and it stayed in this hanging wall on the northern side and didn't actually get through because it's just started to become so steep. Remembering the assays are still coming from the bottom of the hole. That last assay was 0.7 grams per tonne. But what we need to do is come back here and wedge off and with a lower angle hole, so we can deviate from the parent hole or the mother hole, which it will be 61 in this instance, and deviate off with controlled drilling to drill through that structure. And hole 64 that's coming has been able to do that for us at the deeper levels. So we'll take off that cross section and look again around the model. The green is the dike breccia host, and there's a view looking north. That's a long section that we do produce. If I take off the dike model and just put on the section that many of you will be familiar with, we can start to see not only that we have gone to depth. So now when we rotate back into the long sectional plane that we're used to seeing here with all the gold assays down the drill holes, we can see hole 61 down through here, hole 50 here, and all the purple holes that we're yet to see assays from. We can see that hole 61 was almost 700 meters down to that very high grade at 249.5 grams, but mineralisation continued even further down towards 800 meters and still more assays to come. But so we're extending to depth, but equally, here's Christina out through here. Here's the half a meter at 17 grams per tonne we hit in hole 63. And if we just take the distance between there to there, you can start to see there's 320 or 30 meters. So 1.3 kilometers, lots of area to test. Of course, you can see all that white space with the project progressing to depth and delivering, and lots of holes to come that are some of the deepest holes on the property to date.